Have you ever heard of the midday meal referred to as dinner? Do you call the evening meal supper or do you call it dinner? Well, y'all, let's talk about it. A couple of times I've had this debate with different friends, and one time one of those friends got a little bit heated about the subject when I stated that where I'm from, it was not unusual, especially with the older generations, for the midday meal to be referred to as dinner and the evening meal to be referred to as supper. Now, true, nowadays it is more common to hear the evening meal referred to as dinner and the midday meal referred to as lunch, as the American English becomes more unified and we lose more and more of our regional dialects and regional terms and phrases, which, if you ask me, is an absolute travesty. Now, traditionally, dinner meant the largest, most substantial meal of the day. Supper meant a lighter meal eaten later in the evening. In much of the modern U.S., especially outside of the South, dinner drifted to mean the evening meal, no matter how big it was. But in the South, older usage hung on longer. So, in many Southern households, dinner equals the big meal. Supper equals the lighter, later one. That's why you'll still hear, "We had dinner at noon and supper at 6." This comes straight out of agrarian life. In rural Southern life, farming, mills, railroads, and mines, the day started before sunrise. Breakfast was usually often simple. By midday, workers came in from the fields or stopped work when the sun was at its highest, and that midday meal had to be hot, heavy, and filling. So that was dinner, the main meal. Then the evening meal, after chores but before bed, was often lighter. Leftovers, biscuits and gravy, soup, beans, and cornbread, that became supper. Historically in England and early America, upper classes used dinner for an evening formal meal. Working and rural classes used dinner for the midday meal. The South, being more rural and agricultural well into the 20th century, preserved that older working class usage longer than urbanized regions. So, calling lunch dinner wasn't wrong. It was more proper older English. Southern churches reinforced this tradition. With dinner on the grounds and homecoming dinner, those meals almost always happen after Sunday morning services, not in the evening. Nobody ever said, "Stick around for lunch on the grounds." It was dinner, period. Now, a few reasons this stuck around a little longer in the South. As we said before, the South remained rural longer than much of the country. Industrial schedules everywhere pushed the big meal to evenings. Family meals remained more tradition-driven, less clock-driven. Language is conservative. People say what their grandparents said. It's what they grew up hearing. So, when someone in Alabama, Georgia, or Mississippi, or even Tennessee says dinner's at 12, they're not being quaint or misusing a word. They're just being themselves and historically accurate.